With Washington's reckless government spending, the growing regulatory and anti-business policies coming from Congress, and the pending tax bomb set to explode in January, is the U.S. economy close to a destructive tipping point, as the new book Seeds of Destruction suggests. Oh my gosh. Here now are the book's co-authors, former Bush economic advisor Glenn Hubbard, who was dean of the Columbia Business School, and CNBC contributor Peter Navarro, business professor at UC Irvine. What did Glenn Hubbard...
Now that we have the introductions, let's fast forward to the part of the discussion where printing money and taxing rich people to prosperity is discussed.
Printing press our way to prosperity. They're talking about coming back, more stimulus. The dollar is depreciating. Can we depreciate the dollar into prosperity, Glenn?
No, Larry, we can't do that. The Fed has done some very good things in this financial crisis. It's been a lender of last resort. It's been very visible in a way the government sometimes hasn't. But we can't print money toward prosperity. It was easy Fed policy earlier in the first decade of the 2000s that was part of our problem. Another round of quantitative easing might lower long-term rates a bit, but that's not really the engine of prosperity. That's not where it's going to come from.
I mean, Peter Navarro, the minute the Fed whispered that they're going to start pumping up the money supply again, the dollar starts crashing. I call it the Argentinian of America. It's like Latin America, only they've gotten smarter than we are. This seems like a very dumb policy to me, Peter.
Larry, the White House and the Federal Reserve are basically fighting this problem as if it were a short-term cyclical problem with repeated stimulus. It's not working. What we point out in Seeds of Destruction, Larry, it's a long-term structural problem. If you look at the last decade, we have had an economy which has performed 25% below its historical GDP growth rate at a cost of about 10 million jobs that we did not create. If we had had an alternative universe where we were stimulating business investment and our exports, we'd have a world now where we'd be at full employment and everything would be just peachy instead of having this divisive partisan gridlock in Washington.
Okay, here's what I think I heard from that discussion. First of all, printing money is not going to get us out of the mess we are in. The fact of the matter is, we as a country will actually have to create jobs by manufacturing products that we and the rest of the world needs. In other words, America needs to manufacture more to increase GDP and jobs. We need to import less and export more. This makes perfect sense to me. Now, let's see what Kudlow and his distinguished guests has to say about taxing rich people and their investments into prosperity. Then I will share my thoughts on that. Let's watch.
Last one, Glenn Hubbard, you were one of the key authors of the Bush-era tax cuts, especially the 2003. Are we going to tax our rich people into prosperity, tax their investment into prosperity? What is up with this and how to change it?
Well, we clearly can't, Larry. The higher taxes on investment income, higher taxes on small business are completely at odds with what we need to do as a country. We need to extend the Bush tax cuts until we're ready to have a conversation about how big government should be. Peter and I think, would argue a smaller government's better. That's up to the American people. But if we want Obama's government, we're going to have to raise a lot of taxes.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to do this again another time. Two great friends of the show. I appreciate it. Glenn Hubbard and Peter Navarro.
Take care,
Your new book is called Seeds of Destruction.
The guest believes that more emphasis needs to be placed on shrinking the government, which will lower the tax burden on all Americans. I absolutely agree with that. I believe there is still a lot of fat to be trimmed in our government. A word of warning about taxing those who make the rules. You know, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. Well, the truth is, when you start hitting the pockets of the rich start hitting the pockets of the middle and lower class. In other words, no matter how you cut it, the middle and the lower class will still get taxed. Thanks for watching. Please comment.